A whole bunch of Tar Heel athletes are about to get paid. Universities are now allowed to pay players directly. It's called revenue sharing, and there's about $20 million in limited money here. Some of the athletes will get more money than others. Many athletes won't get anything at all. UNC Chapel Hill does have its plan in place. And to find out why they divvied things up the way that they did, I spoke to WRL investigative sports reporter Brian Murphy with a trip to Murph's Turph. Hey, Murph.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
I'm great. Let's talk money and college sports. First, let's start with something I think confuses a lot of people because there are different streams of revenue now for these athletes. There's NIL and then there's the revenue sharing. Can you break down the difference there?
Sure. Under the House settlement, NIL is going to have to be legitimate payment for services. You have an endorsement contract with a national brand, that's going to pass. You have a sandwich deal in town, that'll pass. Any deal over $600 will have to be cleared by this. But the bigger pool of money, and that will go to many more athletes, is revenue sharing. Each of the major conferences, the teams in those leagues can share up to $20.5 million directly with their students beginning July 1st.
So UNC has said where they plan to distribute that money. They are going to spend the entire $20.5 million. Which programs will they be investing in?
Football. No surprise. Men's basketball, women's basketball, and baseball. And that's it. UNC has 28 sports, and they've chosen these four as the only four that will receive revenue sharing.
And football is going to be getting the biggest chunk of change, which might, put up some red flags for people and say, wait a minute, why isn't basketball getting the most money? But there's kind of a simple explanation for that.
Right. You have 85 scholarships in football. That's going to increase to 105. You only have 15 in men's basketball. So, a little bit of money can go a lot further in men's basketball than football. Also, football brings in the lion's share of the revenue. Guesstimates at about 75 to 80% of the revenue of the entire athletic department comes from football.
Now, of course, UNC is a men's basketball school. That's what it's most known for nationally. But there are some other sports that they're also juggernauts. Women's soccer, women's field hockey. These are fantastic programs that aren't on the list to get any of this money.
Right. Dean Smith famously said they're not a basketball school, they're a women's soccer school. And you look at women's soccer, field hockey, women's lacrosse, all have won national titles. Women's tennis a couple years ago won one. They're not getting money. And that makes them pretty on par with everybody else. Not many schools are investing in field hockey or women's soccer, although a couple have said they will give revenue sharing to women's soccer. North Carolina's counting on 200 additional scholarships that they're going to be funding to help those sports out.
Where's the university going to get this money, though? Because that's a big line item to be added to the budget.
Yeah, it's huge that nobody's just sitting around with an extra $20 million sitting there. So North Carolina and other schools are looking at sponsorship opportunities. UNC has said they're going to try to sell the naming rights to Kenan Stadium. They've added beer sales at football games and men's basketball games. You could look for hard liquor sales, find more ways to generate revenue there. Sponsorships of nearly everything, jersey patches, maybe even signs and logos on courts and fields. Any rock they can turn over for more money, that's where it's coming from.
Could one of those rocks be the fees that students have to pay?
No doubt. A lot of football season tickets went up in prices, so you're going to see ticket prices go up. So far, UNC has held the line on student fees.
Now, there are a couple of positives that could come of this, primarily keeping kids from doing what they've done lately with the transfer portal, which is jump from school to school to school. There could be kind of a contract situation that has them sticking around.
With the NIL having to go through a clearinghouse and with everyone sharing the same amount of money, I think there's hope that that movement will settle down. UNC and other schools are signing players to contracts. You get X amount in your first year, you get X amount in your second year, and they're hopeful that that stuff will stick, both from a legal perspective and from sort of a player movement perspective, where players will say, okay, I've got a 2-year deal here, and then maybe I look to move. But for those 2 years, at least I'm in the same spot.
So we're seeing UNC's plan. We'll wait to see what NC State and Duke have in store.
Yeah, and schools across the country are announcing, the sports that they're sponsoring, and I think we're going to see some regional changes in that. I think schools in the Southeast are going to do baseball and softball. I think schools in the Midwest may do indoor sports like women's volleyball and ice hockey. So we may see some regional differences between which sports schools want to support.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Murph.